what I've noticed in this modern world that we're in, I don't say Westerners, I say this modern world because people from all over the world um, that are sort of collectively through the internet and all kinds of globalization, we're becoming a more worldly people, it seems. So either way, there are these people that have access now to these teachings and everything, and so people are very, very smart these days, and it's easy to intellectualize the view. If you studied it for a year straight, you could probably repeat it just like Longchenpa here. You could speak just like Longchenpa if you have a good memory. And so, what does that tell us? Just because you can sound like the way of abiding doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with the view, with awareness, with pure cognition, with supreme intelligence, with, so many words for this, as we discussed in the last session. And for me, I think it's great. You can use all kinds of words to point to this. Just like I can point to this bell with my index finger, I can point to it just the same with my pinky. Don't get caught up in my fingers, okay? Unless it's this one. I'm just kidding. Don't get caught up in that one. Okay. So that's what we do, though. We get obsessed with the finger for some reason. And so this here, the way of abiding, is like a giant finger pointing to the view. And just for a reminder, I believe Yeshi is sharing. Yes, thank you, Yeshi. I'll just do a general pointing out even now, okay, before the reading. So if you get comfortable and just stay with my eyes, I'm going to stay in a thoughtless presence, okay? You see? Mm. And we can just relax our body into this presence, our emotions, our thoughts. Remember what I was saying, everybody. When you notice a thought start to creep in and pull you, contract you away from this spacious presence, you can cut it right in the middle of its sentence. If you feel bad about something, it needs a narration to perpetuate regret or shame unnaturally. These things can be great feelings, but we perpetuate, we keep them going by repetitive dinging that bell of conceptualization. Mhm. So this is the view, everybody. It's just this very pure, present knowingness, mind. If I have a thought right now that I love the sound of my bell, that's happening in this purely present mind. It's able to hold that thought, hold that sound, hold that sentence. If I start feeling giddy because I love bells so much, gee, well, that's also in my awareness. If I get depressed because the bell stopped ringing, oh, what do I do? Awareness is still here with me. It's okay to be depressed. We don't allow ourselves to feel depressed. If we allow that little bout of depression, it'll last about 30 seconds, you guys. But we say, why do I feel like this? Why does the bell have to stop ringing? Bells always, throughout my whole life, the bell has stopped ringing like, we have these really dramatic stories that we craft up and inject into presence. So now that we're all kind of here, let's see what Longchenpa's saying with the root verses of The Way of Abiding, a great treasury from the 1300s. It says the nature of two decisive experiences is shown. And here are the root verses. With the dissolution of the six modes of consciousness within their natural place of rest, Dharmakaya, Whatever appears at present, all that manifests as objects, is a single evenness, outwardly and inwardly, experienced decisively within the basic space of spontaneous presence. One comes to the ultimate decisive experience of everything, whether of samsara or nirvana, whether naturally manifest or even non-manifest, within the fully awakened state of enlightenment. In the same way, one comes to the moment-by-moment decisive experience of what is innately pristine, empty, yet lucid, by letting the busyness of apparent phenomenon and mind rest naturally in the lucid expanse, so that there is utter relaxation, non-conceptual and free of elaboration. This is abiding firmly within the precious enclosure. Oh, right on topic, of course. That's all we really endorse here is the pure view. Man, so beautiful. We were just talking about the three spheres of conception. My eyes are seeing something, the drum. So you have three spheres here. We get locked into the me seeing something, that trichotomy. That trichotomy starts to soften into space. What's happening there, everybody? Your spectrum's opening up. It's becoming infinite. So your spectrum of hearing, your spectrum of thinking, your spectrum of feeling, right? Your empathy, your natural empathy, which is infinite, is able to return. Your natural compassion, which is infinite. You see? But also the ability to cognize and to hear, to see. Now, of course, when this body starts to deteriorate or appear to deteriorate, that's going to look different. Your seeing consciousness is still going to be there. Just like in a dream, you can see stuff. You have a seeing consciousness, but that seeing consciousness is expanding into spaciousness. So if you scroll back up a little bit there, Yeshi, to the top of the root verses, Longchen is not saying, oh, everything's perfect, you don't need to do nothing. No, Longchen is saying the dissolution of the six modes of consciousness happens. Not just the five, seeing, hearing, tactile, smelling and tasting, but also thinking and emotional. So the dissolution of the spheres, the conditioning of those within their natural place of rest. So if you've seen pure presence, you've had the pointing out, you've had a little aha moment. Now you've seen the basis for everything. You can actually just relax your body and your nervous system will start to calm down by itself. Relax your anger. It'll go away by itself within a minute. If you don't dissect it, if you don't play with it, if you don't analyze it, things like that, which is the tricky part. So being able to relax our experience without alteration, without modification or analysis, then the boundaries of outwardly and inwardly begin to also soften up because those are contrived, they're illusory. And then if you keep on going there, Yeshi, is Longchen is giving us advice, not just saying, hey, everything's enlightenment. That's why, people should allow themselves to read this text. A lot of people don't allow themselves to read this. It's too advanced. It's Hatha Yoga, But look, it says right here, by letting the busyness of apparent phenomenon and mind, those are kind of one and the same, rest naturally in this awareness, which they're calling lucid expanse. Then there's self-resolve, you see? And just like being in an aquarium, just like when you are in a house, you're in the house, you're in awareness right now, you guys. That's what you can trust more and more, that, yeah, I'm sad right now, but it's in awareness. So if I leave it alone, it's going to resolve itself, that rangdrol, that natural resolution. Any questions about that? This is the summit, everybody. This is the top of Mount Everest right here. We're stepping over dead body. No, stop it. Okay. All right. So Longchenpa's auto commentary says, since one comes to the decisive experience of everything as precious, spontaneous presence, oh, I just had to stop for a second. Precious, spontaneous presence. Okay. Since one comes to the decisive experience of everything as precious, spontaneous presence, even as things appear moment by moment to the five senses and to discursive mind as the sixth sense, one rests without contriving or distorting, complicating or simplifying them. See, there you go. Longchip is giving you pith instructions. This is Mangagdi. This is how to approach liberation. If you get this, everybody, it's very, very simple, but to implement it can be very, very tricky because, many people have come here to the group and have said, hey, I have this sadness and, I was feeling spacious, but then I felt sad again. What do I do about the sadness? Nothing. Leave it without distorting or complicating. And that's what's hard. So, and a lot of people think effortlessness is just like just sort of cheating or somehow we're neglecting the Dharma or Dharma work or something. Man, this is the hardest work you can imagine, leaving your experience be. And it takes the appearance, anyway, of practice. That's what's called taking the fruit as the path. So it says, thus, awareness, empty yet lucid, like space and being without limit or center, is completely awakened as unobstructed lucidity and purity. Since it is inseparably linked with the space of spontaneous presence, the profound lucidity of Dharmakaya, and no longer hindered by anything corporal, it blends with that precious spontaneous presence. Yeah, and that's what they call the mother meeting the child meeting the mother. See, it says the profound lucidity of Dharmakaya. So this great space, vast space, bigger than the sun, more spacious than space, it consolidates itself for some reason. It has a great lucidity throughout it, a great cognition, which gets consolidated into a kind of eggshell. We all feel it. Wow, I'm going through this, I'm learning lessons, and it feels like we're in a kind of eggshell of the mind. And then that starts to bust open into non-referentiality, Dharmakaya. So you have that union. When the child meets the mother, you have because it's the child cognition meeting the mother cognition. So the child then grows up, even, we could say. Yeah. So this is similar to the space within a room. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, very good. Yeah, this text is powerful. Uh, we we may not have even had it. We got so lucky that this was preserved. But anyway, it says this is great right here. This is similar to the space within a room merging with the vast space outside when a door is opened. And they also say like the space inside of a vase, and if the vase cracks open, that space is inseparable from the space outside of the vase. And it's just like that. We have these so-called corporal boundaries that are illusory. So it says, resting with the eyes open and alert, like an open door, one merges with awareness that is open and alert. I somehow neglected this, or else it would have been in our manual. This is direct advice from Longchenpa to rest with your eyes open. That's what we do. In our 10-minute sessions, we stay here with our eyes open, inviting any sensations, any feelings. Oh, I feel nervous with my eyes open. Let that nervousness be here. Oh, I feel sad right now. I'm sitting here with my eyes open. Let that sadness be unmodified. Yeah, it's pretty rare, Yeshi. What page is this? 199, two nines. Yeah, pretty cool. So he continues, he says, when one becomes free of the physical body, Three factors blend inseparably in a single spontaneous presence. This is similar to the three aspects of outer, inner, and intermediate space blending as one when a house is torn down. So basically, we do approach this while we're still alive, but the idea is that your cognition fully blends when this body is discarded in what they would call the bardo. So it says, those of the very highest acumen become free in this, awakening to Buddhahood in an unobstructed ascent without any intermediate state after death. This is the consummate method of freedom and spontaneous presence. Yeah, you see, it says people of the very highest acumen, or the highest caliber. What was it? The people of the highest, right? The highest caliber of the highest. What was the other word they had there in the Aro Yeshi Jungne? Anyway, it was right on the tip of my tongue there. The tippity top, that's what it was, and yeah, but anyway, they have all these different words for saying, people that are basically in the perfect position, right time, right place, right teacher is there, and they are the right recipient. And so you could be at your highest tomorrow, you could be at your lowest tomorrow. But generally speaking, in this modern world, everybody's at the highest acumen. Back in the 1300s, it's not like everybody was running around super educated and worldly and intelligent. So they made this point usually that these people are a little bit, capacity was the word I was looking for. They were of lower capacity, lower caliber, of the lower capacity, and they're not understanding Dzogchen. No matter how much we talk to them and point them to the view, they're just not getting it. And so they're not in a position. So it's not really meant to be a hierarchy. I think each of us could be at a low, at a high, depending on the day. Capacity to learn or receive. Basically, if a dog peed on my leg right now, I wouldn't be in a capacity for pointing out instructions. Probably be a little bit pissed off. Oh man, these things just write themselves. But yeah, I'd be pissed, and my mind would be busy, and I wouldn't be in the capacity to hear any Dzogchen. At least not in that way. I'd be hearing it from my dog, that's for sure. Making sense, Onga? Okay, very good. I can't see anybody, so if any of you are speaking to me in sign language, I don't know. But if anybody wants to chime in, just go ahead. Just hit the little hand button. So yeah, it says here, this is the consummate method, and then it cites the all-illuminating sphere Tantra, which states, for those of the very highest acumen, what is supreme and always being unobstructed entails no intermediate state, which is the bardo, like after you die. Many practices are based on that when you die. But not even for an instance, it says, but is rather an abiding moment by moment. The essence, the pure nature of phenomenon, abides in the space of natural purity. Awareness arises without obstruction. This is not, in fact, an arising, but an abiding. Yeah, so why do you keep saying moment by moment? Not my favorite translation there. The moment by moment probably wasn't a temporal Tibetan word, but it basically means abiding. It means a timeless presence. So it says, for example, in unobstructed space, artificial boundaries are imposed by the construction of a building. The space within the building divided from naturally pure space. Undifferentiated through an open doorway, these two spaces are clearly without separation. In being connected by the doorway of timeless awareness, the two aspects, awareness as it is hemmed in by habitual patterns and awareness, as it abides in space, abide in supreme and unobstructed non-duality, when the physical body that results from habitual patterns has been removed as a hindrance. Excuse me. And it's really kind of sounding, especially in the previous section, like when you die, that this happens. But no, that's why we have chöd practices where you offer the body and all kinds of stuff, and death contemplations in the Dharma, and all kinds of practices. So this isn't, it was phrased like this, I think, through the editing and translation, that it's sort of talking about like after you die. But to me, that's not the key point in the way of abiding, because it's even saying here it's negating the intermediate state. So anyway, the idea here is that you have cognition here. It's referential, mainly because the body, and we heard like Dudal sharing, for example, of, wow, I really feel referentiality with my lungs, with the more visceral somatic side. And it totally makes sense, right? That's our lifeline. So we safely let that loose, and the body doesn't have to come down because the body is also mind. But let's say the body is a building and there's empty space inside. That's awareness separated from awareness outside, which is very lucid and subtle. It's like a subtle presence of suchness. And so when we start to break those barriers of where we feel like I'm here, the environment is there, then it's like that building is being destroyed, right? It's being demolished, and the space is still there, though. Even though the building came down, the awareness is still there, and it meets the awareness that was outside of the building. Is that making sense to everybody? Pretty sweet metaphor he's using. Okay. And I know some of you probably got a sense of that as we're speaking about it. It's amazing. So the commentary says the spontaneously present mother aspect of utter lucidity is the ground aspect of awareness, which is empty yet lucid and unborn. The naturally occurring child aspect of utter lucidity is naturally unsullied, unborn, and empty. These two aspects, intimately linked through though distinguished as lucidity and subtle limpidness, blend as one at the point of separation from the physical body. However, they are not in fact different awarenesses. For, given that the mother aspect holds to its own place in the natural state of rest, it is only a matter of whether or not there has been a separation from the confines of the physical body. The doorway of timeless awareness opens through awareness that elicits a subtle and pristine quality. The metaphor is that of a reunion between mother and child. Or we could even say the child morphs into the mother. But anyway, this is exactly going in line with our whole session actually that we had today, and I'm very happy about that. But believe me, this isn't meant to only, because it keeps talking about the physical body. It's not talking about when you die, because we have many of these metaphors. The vase, the space inside the vase meeting the space outside the vase, water being poured into water, all of these. And it's meant in this lifetime. Okay? Mhm. Okay, so I think we're finished, right, Yeshi? Next is the root verses for next time. Very good. Thank you so much for facilitating that. And then thank you, dear gathering, for all of you who have hung out through this text exploration, and really another powerful session. I appreciate you so much. I was lucky enough to hear some feedback today about our group and about my style of presenting and everything. And this person just, they were a kind of veteran spiritual person, and they just had so many nice things to say about us and our approach and everything and how unique it was. And so I really appreciate you all making this possible, and giving yourself the confidence, allowing yourself the confidence to entertain the highest teachings sometimes we'll misunderstand them, we'll get a little lost, but just stick in there. Longchen also has said, if you've connected with Dzogchen, it'd be a waste of your life force to break that connection. Okay, well, yeah, deep thanks. And are there any final thoughts, comments, questions before we check out? Everybody good? Yeah, thank you, thank you. Longchen is really getting into the pith instructions today. And I'm so happy that we follow those every day. And there's very special sessions. So again, much gratitude to those in the live gathering, and we'll just end here then. Any benefit that has been stirred around, there are beings in His very presence that are suffering, and we give it all to them with a moment of silence. And deep bow to you, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day.